How's it going, people? And welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another warm-up. It's a big warm-up as well. I'm joined by James.
How you saying, bro? Turkish?
I'm all good.
Big warm-up, but we're a man down.
We're a man down. We are a man down, but it is what it is.
Well, we'll be fine.
Yeah, the last warm-up,
Don't have to do danger man. Oh God,
he nearly fucked it all up.
Yeah. Do you know what?
I was trying to tell the subscribers to, leave their thoughts in the comment section below. He's interrupting, saying, "Hold on, danger man." I'm thinking we're gonna get to danger man.
I'm glad we've addressed this because people are gonna think he's just been dropped off.
Yeah.
After last week's shocker.
He hasn't been dropped, people. Not yet, anyway. Not yet. We'll let you know if that does happen.
We love you, Turkish. He's gonna be Turkish. That's what. Well, he's gonna be watching this and thinking, "Oh no, I've been dropped." But no.
Four wins, 2 draws leading up to this game, and a win against Leeds in the League Cup.
We're back.
Yeah, something like that. This is the biggest one yet, though. Nah, following those 3 losses to start the season, we've had Tottenham in between, but a struggle in Tottenham. Is Leicester the biggest test since Man City?
I'm going to go as far as to say it's the biggest test of the season because I think even with a fully fit team, we were playing the champions of Europe and the champions of England, sides that have been expensively assembled over a decade. Okay, we're not quite that long for City, but you get the point. Actually, no, it has. Yeah, it's been that long. Yeah. And so, even if we lose those games, but you expect more of a fight, it's kind of expected. But with Leicester, there's always this sense of better team over the last few years. You could argue better starting 11. You could certainly argue better manager. But yet there'll always be this expectation that we should go and win there. And I think that's where it's a real test because I think the expectation is slightly different.
It has to have changed.
It has to.
It has to. I mean, the last 2 years now, they finished 5th, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and unluckily 5th, let me say, because for the majority of both seasons, I'd say, especially last season, I actually think they was the most consistent team in the Premier League last season. It's just that Man City had that 14-game winning streak that pretty much got them over the line, I think, from December to February.
Yeah.
Whereas Leicester were pretty consistent throughout, same with the season before.
Sure, if you're looking at expectations and kind of pound for pound, yeah, they were. And they'll be disappointed. Obviously, they won the FA Cup, but they'll be disappointed that that's 2 home games in a row on the final day that they've lost. One of them to Tottenham, and we know the season they had last year. And it's cost them Champions League football. So, not to be messed with, Leicester, no, absolutely. But at the same time, always hopeful that Arsenal can do something. And
a team that shows more ambition? Or I'm wrong in saying that. Because
you might not be wrong.
I think it's a team that shows better direction more so than more ambition. Because we did spend, I guess, the most in Europe. Well, not I guess, we did spend the most in Europe this last summer. Yeah. I don't think Leicester have been close to spending the most in any transfer window. They're pretty much shrewd with their business. They found the model and the right direction off the pitch. Yeah.
Leicester are funny, aren't they? Because obviously they nearly got relegated. Then they win the league the year after. And it was, I don't want to call it a fluke because they had some great players as we've gone to see with Vardy, Kante, Mahrez, but it was a
mad one.
It was a mad one. That's the way to put it. It was just a mad one that happened, and since then, they kind of dropped off. Then Rodgers comes in, and they have spent money. Yeah. A lot of people kind of talk about their model and how brilliant and efficient they are. No, they've actually wasted a lot of money en route to doing it as well. But they are a club that we can look at and say, they show ambition, they're shrewd in the market, they went for a big manager in Rodgers, they've got big plans, great training facilities. They're a very admirable club.
Maybe they are more ambitious. I'd say they have a more ambitious owner, that is for sure.
I think they've just got a smarter owner. I think they've got an owner who cares more. I mean, ambition comes into that. But ambition is... I want to say relative, like it kind of...
I know what you mean.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, for sure they've got a smarter owner, for sure they've got a better idea of what they want to do as a club. You've only got to look at the promotion and then what they've done since being in the league. Admirable is the way I'd go. I really admire Leicester, and I think if you're a Leicester fan and you see their owner coming onto the pitch and lifting the FA Cup, especially with everything that's gone on, with... what's his name? Fernando Prava, I think I've pronounced that right. Obviously his father as well, who passed away a couple of years ago. There's a real sense of unity and community at Leicester, and I think that's what we lack more than anything.
Which we saw after the FA Cup final win.
Yeah,
the owner
really
coming
special
on the pitch.
scenes for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
special. Especially coming looking at it from an Arsenal perspective and what our owner is and has been. When you see something like that, it's like we're so far off
We've
that.
won 4 of those FA Cups, and I've not seen them on the pitch.
Yeah.
Old Stan Kroenke.
That connection.
It's, you know, some of the best owners are just sort of silent, and they just let they put the right people in place and let it operate. But they've got owners who, you know what, they're not even very vocal, but they just make the right decisions. They recruit well, they employ well, and they are, I keep going back to that word, admirable. I think everyone likes Leicester, and for good reason.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think we've pretty much agreed it's our biggest test. Well, you say of the season.
I think so.
I'd say since the first 3 games. What's your thoughts around it? From our perspective, Arsenal going into this game away, 4 win, 2 draws.
My thoughts around it is that it's kind of a great example of why stats aren't everything and why context is so important in football. Because we're in a good run here. Actually, do you know what? Let's take it back 12 months. Let's take it back 12 months.
Yeah.
12 months ago, we were entering a really bad phase for Arsenal.
The worst.
The worst. But the context tells you that there was a lot of unhappy players. The manager didn't have his signings, hadn't built his squad. There was a lot of juggling pieces, you know, the short term and the long term. 12 months on, we've seen that with more of his players, there's not a complete identity, but a better identity. We're looking at this form of, 6 wins in 8, 2 draws.
Yeah.
You know, we've won 2 cup ties in that. We've got ourselves to the quarterfinals. We're now, I think, level on points with 5th, couple points off 4th. And suddenly we're thinking, everything looks great, but actually the context tells you that we've not been that great over that run. The performances haven't been brilliant. We go to Leicester knowing we beat them 3-1 at their place last year, on the back of Odegaard coming in and a bit of an upturn in form. But at the same time, context also tells you that Leicester should be winning this game.
Yep.
So it's such a weird one.
It's hard to
know what to expect of Arsenal here, because I think if you're being really, really honest with yourself, a point with a decent performance to go with it is a good result. But you'd always tell yourself, but we're Arsenal. They're Leicester, we're Arsenal.
I actually sit here thinking, and this is my honest opinion, that that's the best we're going to get this weekend, a draw and a good performance.
I thought they were going to destroy us at their place last season, and we played them off the park.
Listen, I predicted that Aston Villa would, beat us, and Arteta the writings on the wall.
Performance of the season.
Performance of the season. That's what I want to see. If I'm predicting a loss, I want to be proven wrong.
But is that the nature of the direction Arsenal have gone in? Because if we take for 1 second, and actually, you know who summed it up really well was Gunner Blog on the Sky thing they did before, where they said James McNicholas. He said
Gunner Blog and
Pippa, and he said Arsenal fans just kind of have to accept the direction the club have gone in, because we have no choice. They've made these decisions. The 6 transfers obviously prove that point. The players, we see Lokonga starting against Villa, it wasn't El Neni coming back in, Ramsdale straight into 11. We see that there's a plan to go with Project Youth. So we just have to accept that. But does that mean we have to alter our expectations? That's where it's difficult. Tottenham are playing Man United on the weekend. So we know there's a really good opportunity to leapfrog one of them, have ourselves in the top 6 maybe come the end of the weekend. And that's really exciting. But we got to get past Leicester. And a realistic expectation for this side is that when we're not great against Brighton and Palace, we find a way to draw, which we did. But when we are on it, we do put 3 past Villa and Spurs. Against Leicester, a realistic expectation is decent performance and a point. But that's not where Arsenal should be. So it's a real wrestle and tussle for fans with what the club are trying to do.
And how to handle our emotions around the club.
How to handle our emotions around.
Because you can look at some of the positives you mentioned and be a lot more optimistic, or you can look at some of the negatives you mentioned and be a lot more pessimistic.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
That's it.
And what we find now is the optimistics and the pessimistics are at each other's throat at this club, ignoring the devil that runs it.
You're asking one of the most patient fan bases in the world to just be a bit more patient.
Without any ownership or culpability. Like, you've done a lot of wrongs.
Yeah.
You're right. We have to either back what's going on or deal with it. but a bit of, ownership of some of the mistakes would have helped kind of smooth it over, let's say.
Well, when you look at the projects since the end of Wenger, and I'm going to include his kind of last year, where he really threw money at it with Mustafi, Xhaka, Aubameyang, Lacazette. They were all 30 million plus signings in a bid to try and get us quickly back into where we should be. Goes the opposite way, we fall out the top four. We get Unai Emery in, and we actually backed him quite heavily. Let's give him David Luiz, let's give him Nicolas Pepe, let's give him Dani Ceballos, let's give him Kieran Tierney, players that were meant to make a difference almost immediately, get us over the line. It didn't happen, he loses his job. And I think Arteta came in, and we were hoping after a year we'd start to see him almost take all the bits of everything and start to make it work. And I think, has gone, it ain't going to work. It's a complete mess. In that time, Mislintat's come and gone. Sanyehi's come and gone. Vinay's been promoted. Edu's arrived. And you're looking at all these things. Per-Mertesacker the head of the academy. One of the only things that's delivering right now. And you've got Mikel Arteta, who I think's looking at this and going, you know what, guys? I know I've been here over a year and a half, but I need to tear up the playbook and start again. And it's going to be Project Youth, because with the money all these other clubs are spending, we're going to need to go for the Dortmund model. We're going to have to go for a model that is going to keep us competitive in the long term. It's going to have longevity. How do you sell that to a fan base that's just had to enjoy everything I've just mentioned?
Yeah.
And that's where it's difficult.
By the time we've given you, you've done this.
And in the time we've given you, look what Leicester have done. And that's what it all comes back to. That's why we're talking about all these things. 100%. So it's difficult. It's difficult.
It is. And listen, I think the conversation is necessary when you speak of both clubs because of, the trajectory of Arsenal and the trajectory of Leicester over the last few years.
Absolutely. But they're a good side.
They are a good side. And I think if we were to pick out a key battle on Saturday, there's going to be a lot of key battles on that pitch. But what's the one for you that can decide the game?
It feels a little obvious on the back of our Villa performance, but I'd go ahead and say Lacazette on Soyuncu.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. I don't really worry about our back four, but if I'm to pick another, it's Partey Tielemans. I don't know if Ndidi's fit.
Yeah.
But I think it's about winning the midfield battle. Dare I say even Lokonga, because I'm kind of more worried about whether Lokonga turns up. He's brilliant against Leicester, against Villa. Not so much against Brighton. What about you? Where are you looking?
I think the Tielemans and Partey one, definitely. Tielemans has been on good form. Lacazette Soyuncu is an interesting one. Leicester have so much threat that it's hard. Daka for me is one that, for some reason, his form and coming into this game, and Vardy's always a threat, but I'm going to go with Partey and Tielemans.
Okay.
I think I'm going to stick with that one as the key. The centre of the park for me is always important. Who do Leicester have on the right side?
See, this is the thing. They've gone to a back three a lot this season with Iheanacho and Vardy up top. Obviously, Cecil will have done his research on the build-up, so go check out the build-up on match day. 10:30, I think that is.
10:30 Saturday,
So, they'll break down Leicester a little bit more then, but they have been playing basically the formation that we tore apart against Villa, that 3-4-1-2, the kind of 10 behind two strikers. We had a lot of joy with that, so we kind of almost a week on have already deployed a kind of a press and a system that has got us some success against that. So where they had wingers like Albright and Perez, Barnes, they are probably going to be less involved. So I don't know. I think this would be interesting.
Even Maddison's another one that...
Maddison finding form again.
Yeah, and how much we were linked to him in the summer, and
Yeah.
Fingers crossed none of them do it. Let's go into predictions and round it up, James.
Predictions. I went for a 1-1 on Forever Arsenal. I'll stick with it. I was a bit too pessimistic on that podcast. I think in hindsight, I was really acting like we'd be lucky to get a 1-1. We can win this 2-0, we can lose this 2-0. I really think both managers have shown abilities to tactically switch off on a day. Even Rodgers has shown he's got that. But on other days, they can be, real tacticians in the way they set up their teams, pick out results you wouldn't expect. I'm going to go for 1-1. But anyway it goes, wouldn't surprise me.
You know what I predicted on Forever Arsenal. And it wasn't that long ago we recorded that. So I'm going to stick with my prediction, similar to last week. where I was proven wrong against Aston Villa. I predicted a loss. I do think this one, not so much the writings on the wall for Arteta like I thought last week, but this one we're playing a team that have been consistently better than us for a while. A team that, although they play in a similar formation like you said to Villa, I think a team that are a lot better drilled at it.
Yeah.
So I'm going 2-1 Leicester.
Yeah.
But I hope you're right, and I hope we can get a point and maybe the 3.
Can I ask you one last question before we round up? If we draw at Leicester, would you consider that a momentum carrying on?
Yep.
Yeah, I would too.
I think a draw, coupled up with a decent performance, for me, I'd be happy with going into Watford, where I'd expect 3 points in the international break. Another one without a loss in between.
Yeah, I'm with that. I am, but I'll say that Arteta needs to deliver the kind of result that overturns those Brighton Palace performances.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of that they were disappointed points drop that we could have won. This is again, we could win, but also win it.
Yeah,
and then actually be like, well, it's all right. We didn't turn up there, but we really turned up here. And I think we need to see that coming at some point. But I would be not happy with a point, but I would be like,
yeah, because if we was to beat Leicester and you look at the run that we've had previous, the Leicester away win would be the shining light of all of them, including the Tottenham one.
Yeah, ahead of Watford, ahead of international break.
Considering where they've been over the last couple of years, positions would probably want to, well, not probably, definitely want to be in, challenging for top 4. But
that's it.
It is what it is. Guys, hope you guys have enjoyed the warm-up. Let us know your predictions in the comment section below. Thoughts, lineups, all of that. Look out for Box to Box coming out with me and Lee Chappie real soon. And all the other content, Ask the Fans, and obviously Match Day Live with Good Morning Arsenal, the build-up and so on. Love for the love people. Hit the like button on the way out. Peace.